So, what's up, everybody? I'm back with another movie review. In fact, today is a mega movie review. Um, because I did not intend to do a mega movie review of this series. But after watching all of them after another marathon, I decided to do a mega review. And it is of the Evil Bong franchise. 9 movies we're going to mega review today. Obviously, if you saw the Ginger Dead Man reviews, you probably knew that this one was coming. Trust me, we had no idea what to expect going into this, but I think we were still let down. Just going to say. There's a reason why I'm doing all these together instead of separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through each movie, kind of brief off some funny lines that I saw or some things maybe that are different a little bit between them, but kind of you're going to notice that the stories or the characters often overlap here, which is not something that you get in the Ginger Dead Man movies. So when that first we saw, like, the cast was coming back and the same characters are coming back, I was like, oh, that's going to be a good thing. We get some continuity between these stories, it might work out better. I think it played into the wrong hands here. And I have no idea how there are 8 movies in this series, plus the crossover with Ginger Dead Man, which we will get to in this mega review as well, because that's 100% a Evil Bong movie with Ginger Dead Man in it after watching it. But here we go. So, Evil Bong, the first Evil Bong movie, came out in 2006, by the way. That's another one for my 2006 project. Very excited about that. But this whole, every movie in this series obviously has a lot of weed puns. More so in the earlier movies, with the original cast all still there. And it's like bro, hi, surfer dude, weed puns, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cringe, but it's not necessarily something you would not expect. We also get a Super Nintendo in this movie. I've never seen somebody play Super Mario World so bad before in my life, but I guess that's what happens when you smoke pot. And we also get introduced to another character named Rabbit. Stay tuned, because this Rabbit character becomes a big piece in the other movies, but all he is right here is he delivers the package that has the bong in it. The Evil Bong. I had no idea what this whole character was going to be after watching Gary Busey become a gingerbread cookie and then that become a killer thing. Had no clue what to expect here. But I don't know exactly. It is not what I expected. I kind of expected it to be like a similar styled character to Ginger Dead Man, where it like runs around and maybe like does stuff. But no, like you have to like smoke the bong, and then you get transferred into Bong World. And looking back at it now, Bong World gets really crazy in some of these later movies. Here it's just a strip club. It's pretty fucking weird, because then you get this is where the first like semi nudity comes in. Well, there's also real nudity, but also some semi nudity with the kills. Nobody actually dies in any of these movies except for one, which we'll get to a little bit later, which was, in my opinion, very counterintuitive of the character, when all these movies don't have kills in them. Like they have in the earlier movies, you get fake kills, but then they come back to life at the end. At the end of the movie, everybody she fucking kills comes back to fucking life. What the hell? But I haven't said it already. The acting's terrible. There's some hot women though. Hot women in this movie. But the acting's terrible. There's a lot of, just like in the Ginger Dead Man movies, there's a lot of cheap outs with technical stuff, a lot more dubs, just some really weird scenes, things that just don't make a whole lot of sense. Um, and then there's also sitcom style transitions with weed on them, like weed plants and bongs. What? And get ready, that's another reoccurring theme in these movies as well. We after all of these movies, you can never figure out why there were these sitcom style transitions. They felt like they were supposed to be cheaped out, like they were supposed to replace the cheaper parts, but also they looked like some of the more what was most of the budget went into. Like some of these look pretty good, but they're fucking unnecessary. And they come at some of the weirdest points. Literally, a character could walk out a door into another place, transition, and they could come right back in, another transition. But like we could get this whole montage of them flying across the world or like walking across the jungle. That doesn't have any transitions in it. Like what's the point of it? Also, this movie exclusively has a lot of really weird knockoff brands, or also just like sometimes they would just tape over as part of the logos. Like there was FC or Light instead of Keystone Light, or instead of KFC was FC, or there was Hickey Hams instead of Lucky Charms. And a few others. But then later on in the movies, we get Pepsi, just like straight up. So is it just whatever they can get? We don't really see any of this like cover up product placement in any of the other movies, besides like maybe a couple of points, and it's not nearly as noticeable. So that was weird. The music's good. This is another theme through all the movies. Music's pretty good. There's a really cool songs like "I Think God Smokes Weed" or something like that. That was a good song. Put that in my playlist. That was a pretty good one. And then we get to meet this grandpa character as well. He is a wild character. I love it though. He's a good character. Not really. I was lying. I don't know why I said that. He's the stereotypical like old guy. You think he's gonna be the jolly old guy, and then he's not. And it's like supposed to be shocking. I don't know, he plays the role pretty well, I guess. They dropped the FAGO word as well. So there's that. They also one of my other favorite lines was "ta ta," it just says "ta ta." I don't know why. Also, you notice that these two worlds are connected in more than just random stuff. They're some of the same actors play multiple characters, and even some points in the later part of the movies, you get the Ginger Dead Man character coming back with the fucking evil Bong character, but they're played by the same actor, so you got them both in the scene at the same fucking time. Jeez. And then Ginger Dead Man just pops up in this movie too. Why? Like, this isn't even like. And here's what I'm saying: the crossover movie doesn't make any sense. Because Ginger Dead Man is in this movie. He's also in every other movie after the crossover, for the most part. And then in the crossover movie, that literally is Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong. Number one, they don't fight at all. Number two, they're barely interacting with each other. Number three, they just end up fucking teaming up at some fucking point. This movie as well, maybe this movie as well, and maybe as well as thingamaboober, thingamaboober. The next few movies as well, they felt like anti-weed ads, where it's like showing what can happen if you smoke weed and like that kind of stuff, kind of making it seem, kind of putting like a more light onto it so it looks more attractive, but then you at the end you see the underlying consequences. I don't know, that was really hard to decipher, but it looked like that. It was really weird. But that was the first Evil Bong movie. And the second one is crazy because they go somewhere else other than somebody's fucking room or a random ass store. They go to South America, and it's really, really cool. Because in the first movie, Evil Bong gets detonated, but then they bring her fucking back to life somehow. But at least in these movies, it makes sense how she comes back to life because we actually get to see it happen instead of her getting incinerated in a toaster oven and then coming back like nothing happened, like in the Ginger Dead Man movies. There's more transitions, more reoccurring characters. The Alistair character is a lot different. He's like buff now instead of like the traditional nerdy character that he was in the first movie, which was crazy. There's a lot more fart jokes in this movie as well. Bachman is also now like 8 feet tall, which was super weird. I don't know why that was there. The brat guy, he's completely different. And he has like a ton of fucking prosthetics on while he's in this munchies phase. It doesn't look good at all. The only thing that was really kind of cool was that like the characters were all facing different effects of weed in munchies, passing out, and paranoia, or lowered inhibitions plus paranoia. That was cool, but it's not explored on at all, which was insane. Because halfway through the movie, everybody's cured, and then there's just like this B plot that happens, but it doesn't really happen. They're just kind of dinking around for a little bit until they finally decide to transport. Then they finally said, "Oh, we're going to join this illegal weed drug dealing group and ship weed out of South America to the States." There's more transitions. They're just as crazy. There was a random ass Monopoly shirt that they were wearing. Why the fuck did they go to Amsterdam before going to South America when they live in fucking California? That was so fucking weird. I did not understand why they did that. But holy crap. And there was Major Herbage. The grandpa's back and he can walk because the weed is actually healing. So, is this now a pro-weed movie because it shows the good parts of it? I don't know. They eat SpaghettiOs out of a chastel in the jungle. They whitewash South America completely, which is, I don't know how the fuck they got away with that in 2008, or 2009, whenever this movie came out. And then we get also introduced to King Bong. A new Bong that is like supposed to be the husband of evil Bong, and they're this whole world, and his world's even crazier because he turns people into blunts, and then they try and smoke the blunt. What the fuck? But also it's just like it's the same world, except now you're in South America strip club instead of America strip club. Okay, but probably the weirdest part of this movie, and where things really start to take a weird turn, as if it wasn't weird enough by now, is that you remember that rabbit guy from earlier? Yeah, he is a focal character now. They think, oh, the FedEx guy who delivered my package, yeah, he probably knows about my package. As if you're stupid. That's people stupid to think. As people stupid their packages. And then he just becomes a mainstay character in the rest of the fucking series. What the fuck? He wasn't that crazy in this movie, but trust me, he gets really crazy and traumatizing. So that was Evil Bong 2. How about Evil Bong 3? There's a new actor for Alistair. He's not as good. There's a random ass Zac Efron reference. They used the term Wang Dong. Still don't know what the fuck that was for. Brett looks completely different again, as if they couldn't get the same actor to play this guy for more than one fucking movie at a time. Maybe the actors for Brett realized how stupid this fucking movie was and ditched it the first chance they got. The effects still keep getting worse. The alien, now we're in an alien Bong world. It's just like Avatar, but on crack or LSD. And they just fucking, their whole thing is they milk. They're milking people. What the fuck? That's so fucking weird. Why would you do that? Like extracting shit out of dick. There's more transitions. They say Master of Dung Poo, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. There's an AI reference. There's a Nurse Hookah. Nurse Hookah. She's like the best character in this entire fucking franchise. Gramps is back. He's even crazier. There's like 4 fourth wall breaks in this movie. Evil Bong finally starts to have some more movement. She just starts fucking teleporting herself at some point. That wasn't something he did in the first movie. Why is she going to start teleporting herself? That would have been cool, so cool. Maybe the series could have taken a completely different turn if that's something that they would have done in the first movie. There was a, what you talking about, Willis? There was that? What the fuck? Why was that in here? What licensing did you get for that? There was a Chia reference. There was a beefcake, and then also on top of that, just so many dud moments, with unnecessary, unexpected things that just they didn't make me laugh. They didn't make me cry. They made me just confused. I didn't know what was going on at the time. But the transitions are back, baby. Oh, yeah. But then we get to the crossover movie. You know, these first three Evil Bong movies, you know, were focused mostly just on Evil Bong, but also other Evil Bongs, I guess. But now we hit the crossover. Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong. Had a lot of hype with this movie after how Ginger Dead Man 3 ended, and was expecting something out of this. I was wrong. This is one of the biggest fucking letdowns of any movie I've ever watched. Number one, there was so much recap that I probably skipped a good quarter of the movie with just skipping the fucking recap. And then there's the line, she makes me want to touch myself. Cool. Did you really need to have that in your script? This Tarzan guy, he's fucking weird and he ends up dying. He's one of like 2 kills. And this, by the way, is the only movie with actual kills. 3 people die in this movie. Instead of in the first 2 movies when you just did nothing. And this is where they really started harrowing down on the characters and really making Rabbit more of a focal point. They wrote off every character except for one of the bros, like the Laurel guy. He's still around. The other ones all just get completely written off. You also get like some of the more side characters. Luane's still there, only because her actress decided to come back to play the part, her part in the Ginger Dead Man thing. I assume, at least. You get the hippie Asians part. That was wild. And also just like some other insecurities. How did they get that image for the newspaper when that was a complete screenshot of the movie? When that was supposed to be a secret fucking moment? That was the whole fucking point. It was supposed to take place in a closed fucking room. Who got the camera in there? How'd you get that cab? How'd you get that screen cap? How'd you get anything? But then eventually, Ginger Dead Man comes into the movie. He looks somehow even worse than he did in the other movies. How do they consistently make this guy more and more bad? And he's the only one doing any killing, but his kills suck. Well, most of them are off screen. They even fucked up his signature kill, which is the sex scene kill. They just fucked it up. Why is there a random Snapchat logo halfway out of view? Why did it take over an hour for a Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong to finally meet? Why was there a Shining reference with "Here's Gingy"? And why is King Bong back? Who's King Dong? Why is there King Dong? Why is the Ginger Man? And why was Ginger Dead Man? He's interacting with the Bong realm. Was the best part of the movie. They got one thing right with the Bong interactions with Ginger Dead Man. Great dialogue, great interactions. Why, for the life of me, they couldn't do more of that? Or build off of that? I have no idea. But it was cool for what we got to see. And then they also learned Pish Pash. The fuck does that mean, Pish Pash? And then a boob wall. Whoa, boob wall. Yeah, boob wall. For what fucking reason is there a boob wall? The whole movie's just an underwhelming shit show. There's no real plot to it at all. They don't... And there's no fucking fight. The title of the movie is literally Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong. They don't fight. Hell, they're even... they're actually close by the end of this. Okay. Cool. Swear to God, this was one of the biggest letdowns. It wasn't so much worse than the other three. Or is it any worse than any of the remaining movies? But it's just so much of a letdown because of what they hype up in Ginger Dead Man 3 and then don't do any more of. Oh, but we're not done. Oh, no, we're not done. Now we get to a bunch of the times now when they're just going to start using 3-digit numbers and making cool references off of that. Starting with Evil Bong 420. You knew they were going to have to do this eventually. This is where the point where the amount of boobs that we were seeing was somehow getting to be too much. I never thought I'd say that in my life, but I was boobed out starting around this movie. And at this point, Ginger Dead Man has become so degraded that his mouth, he doesn't even have physical mouth movements. It's just annoying orange level mouth movements, and it's really fucking stupid. We get topless bowling though. That's a win-win for me. That got me back in the boob game. Topless and bowling? Fuck yeah. Sign me up. But of course it's ran by Rabbit. Why was he still here? I have no idea. He took a piece of the boob wall out of the Bong world though for his bowling alley, which was really weird. But at this point, I was wondering why the fuck was Rabbit even here? And I think we come to the point that Rabbit was the one funding these movies. So A, that's why there's so many of them, and B, that's why he's in every single fucking one. Is it a coincidence that he died and there hasn't been a new one since? the pig guy, I didn't even mention this guy in the last movie. There's a guy who looks like a fucking pig. He came back in this movie and also has a more significant role. This was when the series was starting to do what they would take like the most insignificant characters of a movie. They would take like a sideshow character or like a comic relief character, and then they would phase out an actual main character and throw that character in their place for no reason other than to be stupid. And he says, does a pig take a shit? Does a pig shit in the back of a car? I don't know. I don't put pigs in the back of my car. So I don't know if they shit in a car. Do you put pigs in the back of your car? And do they shit? You're a pig guy, so I assume you would. There was also a lot more racism for no reason. It just kind of is forced in. It's really fucking weird. It's really just uncomfortable to watch. But this movie does introduce the only really fun gadget in any of these movies, the weed blower. This thing is fucking cool. I need this. I need a weed blower so I can, when there's a guy in my fucking face, I can do that. Get him out of my way. And then we start getting more characters introduced that spin off into other parts of this, like Ginger Dead Man and like Evil Bong extended universe, like Ooga Booga, and a few others. Which, trust me, the side movies are their own marathons. I don't know when the fuck we're gonna get to those. Okay, I just don't. I don't know when the fuck we're gonna get to those, but we'll get to them eventually. And then we get lesbians. Woo, lesbians, yeah. Love lesbians. And also they just love no restraint on the sex scenes at all. But the craziest thing that they did in this movie was they ended it on a cliffhanger. On a cliffhanger. Who the fuck is going to want to tune into a fifth Evil Bong movie to see a fucking cliffhanger that doesn't even make any fucking sense? Well, high five. Oh, sorry, that's the name of the movie as well. That's the thing with the fifth movie. We watched it. And the effects, by the way, are still just getting worse. They're just getting so bad. So bad, in fact, it looks like they're using fucking Microsoft Movie Excel inputting a random blood group GIF number 2 and just putting it into the thing. It's so bad, it's not even funny. Not even funny. And here's the wild thing. Now Ginger Dead Man's a good guy. He's like got this cool suit on. And he's just working at the Bong shop. By the way, the bowling alley's gone. Now it's a Bong shop again. We've gone from... It's run by Rabbit again. It's run by Rabbit. We go from Rabbit running... Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But he... And he... Now, Ginger Dead Man, he has a sex side plot. Which is from the last movie, too. The thing. Told you I was boobed out by this point. And I don't know why we got to the fifth movie before we got this pun of a rabbit hole pun for Rabbit. Is that why you named him Rabbit? Did you plan on making 5 of these? I don't think you did. But why did you wait till the fifth movie to make that reference? Why? Would have made it movie 2. And if you haven't noticed by now, these movies are not about like horror anymore. They're not even trying to be horror anymore. Evil Bong isn't fucking evil. Nobody smoked that bong in like 3 fucking movies, and there's just nothing for anybody to fucking do. It's more just like Evil Bong going in and out of the bong world and like trying to make money in the Bong world to then sell shit in the regular world, then take that back to the Bong world, and they keep flipping back and forth. You got Ginger Dead Man doing fuck all nothing as well. This movie's not about fucking killing anymore, like it fucking was for the last 3 movies. And the acting just keeps getting damn worse. Nail the thing to the thing. Nail the thing to the thing. Why was that a line in your movie? Another thing, are Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong just established members of society? Because, like, I know they don't kill, and they just, like, are going around in the world, and now there's merchandise being sold of Evil Bong as well. The fuck's the fucking point? Gramps is back. There's Jeffy, too. There's a Jeffy character. But I didn't care, because the pacing in this movie was so fucking terrible, I couldn't barely keep up where the fuck we were going. Sometimes, you would seem like you watch 15 minutes of these movies, you look, and there's 45 minutes gone. Other times you feel like you watched 3 hours of the movie, only 15 minutes has gone by. What is with the pacing? I think the pacing is so bad because there's no plot. At this point, the plot's just gone. We got to the 420 movie, there's nothing going on anymore. It's just Ginger Dead Man dicking around in his B plot while the A plot is Evil Bong fucking in and out of the Bong world, and Rabbit just trying to fucking make some money and be a creep. They keep bringing back random side characters like the racist guys from the bowling alley. Now they're established characters. I swear to God, they just bring back anybody who wants to come back. But then, this movie just becomes about big-ass advertisements. And I will say, we looked up badassdolls.com. It works. It's a working website. You can't buy anything from there anymore, but at one point you could. So they decided that let's fill 25% of the runtime with just ads for this website. I don't know who bought stuff off this site. I don't know how much it cost. I don't even know what the final product looked like. But it existed. They randomly just bring up Eleanor Roosevelt. There's more lesbians. And then there's more cool dialogue between Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong, like soggy old breadstick and another one that I don't want to say. But then they didn't learn their lesson, so they ended off again with another cliffhanger. Another fucking cliffhanger. Why? And that takes us to this point. We're in the last 3 movies, and they, at this point, were just saying, 666 sounds cool. Let's just do that. And then they did, 777. Let's just do that. Those made sense. 666 was a devil thing, and they tie the movie into, like, hell, and there's all that. 777s, they go to Vegas, so that makes sense. But with 888? What does that mean? At this point, 888 just makes it look like it's lazy. You couldn't have named it, like, 8 Too Many Movies. Could have just done that. But anyway, 666. We get more kills, but they're not from Ginger Dead Man or Evil Bong. They're from a random ass lady who worked at the bowling alley in the 4th movie, and now she's completely changed her character, but nobody knows what's going on anymore, so who cares? Meanwhile, you've got Loyola's character playing a fucking clown now with the most annoying child voice that I've ever heard in my life. By this point, I am completely titted out. And so I was just done with that, but they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. They have this thing called the Vapor Cup, which I think would sell really well today because there's a lot of kids who love to vape and a lot of kids that love Stanley Cups. So they probably find a way to purchase this product. And then this is where you could really tell the movie started to cheap out, as if you couldn't see that already. Because they decided, we're not going to put a door here. We're going to green screen the fucking door. It's a door. It's a goddamn door. There's nothing special about it. You go in and you go out. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. It's a fucking door. And then Sexy Hell's all weird because it's just mountains of more tits and flying tits and tits and tits. This movie franchise has to be the world record for most tits that can ever be put in a piece of media. I swear to God, there are more tits in the evil Bong movies than you can find in the entirety of goddamn Pornhub. And then the Tarzan guy's the devil. And then we get more Ginger and Bong bickering. It's still great. It's the only good part of these movies anymore. But then we get a new character, Ginger Weed Man. Why does he exist? I have no idea. Except to kill Ginger Dead Man. And also so that he can make out with women. Which is really fucking creepy. Really fucking creepy. And also, everybody just has special powers. I didn't get that part. When did random strangers off the street start getting random powers? It doesn't make any sense. And then we don't get left off on a cliffhanger. Instead, we get left off for a teaser for a movie that doesn't fucking exist. I looked all over the goddamn internet. Ginger Dead Man Rebaked is not a thing. I found one Microsoft download link for this movie. It was in German. I didn't fucking click it. It looks sketchy as hell. This movie does not exist. When goddamn IMDb doesn't have it, you know it's not there. Was this something that they were planning? Was this something that they were making? Because it never happened. I feel like if you're going to promote something at the end of a movie, you fucking do it. You make the fucking movie. It's obvious that this rabbit guy's funding your whole ordeal. Just throw him in for half the movie and at least make it. Was it really that hard? I guess so. Can you tell I was starting to get burnt out by this point? I hope so. So we got 2 more of these left. Well, really, in the marathon, there were 3 movies left. One of them I'm doing reviewing separately, so... Yay! Now we're on to Vegas. You think with the movie finally taking place somewhere other than the back streets of like a California beach town with a bunch of weed places and, you know, all that stuff, that they maybe find something else to do, but no, they don't. They don't. They just do the same shit that they've been doing all fucking time. There's another grand opening. How many grand openings does it take before it's not a fucking grand opening anymore? And then they bring the clown back. Then they finally go to Vegas, and then there's the Elvis show. It's insane. We finally get to see Pussy. And then there's the Elvis thingy that does the thing. I don't like it at all. But even so, they don't do anything in Vegas that's like Vegas. They go see one stripper show and do nothing else. What was the... And they drive around Vegas, I guess. But what else did they do? Nothing. You could, for the life of you. It's like in Gingerbread Man 2 with the where the prop was still in the box even though he wasn't supposed to be in the shot. You couldn't take the damn mic pack. Like, you couldn't do a better job of hiding the mic pack during the shot with the ghost. Are you fucking stupid? I guess so. Also, why is Gingerweed Man British now? Why is he getting all of the Riz? Why the hell were all of the characters, legit, all of the characters from the past movies that are still willing to be here, why did they all just go to Vegas? There's no explanations for that. There's no explanations for anything. Why was Rabbit and the crew even put in Vegas? Why? And then we get chicks with dicks. The fuck is this movie going off about? And then we just see the Gingerweed Man, Ginger Dead Man, and the evil Bong props in the horror museum. Wouldn't you think? I know they're supposed to be in there. I know that's the actual museum. But for the life of me, could you not have taken the props out for the movie that they're filming? And then put them back? Could you not have? But that was that movie. And I was ready to be done. I was ready to be done. I was really fucking ready to be done. But we had one more of these fucking movies left. 888. Again, I don't even know what that means. On the poster, I guess you'll see it in the... Well, if I decide to do any fucking crazy thing with the thumbnail, but... It's like some infinity, like, symbols doing some things, but even so, that still doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, what do you talk about? Evil Bong Infinity, or is it Evil Bong 888? Let's talk about the career path that Rabbit has had, by the way, through these movies. So, 888 came out in 2022. First one came out in 2006. So this is a 16-year path here. Rabbit went from being a delivery man, a priest, a weed shop owner, a bowling alley owner, back to a weed shop owner, and now a restaurant owner. What a career. Imagine putting that on your resume. There's also some boomer moments with the phones. It was really cringe. Rabbit is a really cringe character, so everything he does is cringe. Outside of a couple... Actually, there was actually, though, a couple of times in this movie where Rabbit does have some cool savage lines, especially with the Karen character, which is the same lady who owns the roller rink in Ginger Dead Man 3. So again, more actor crossover here. But there were some cool savage lines that he said to her. It was really refreshing to hear him actually like have some competent dialogue for once, because he doesn't get a lot of that in these movies. I don't know if that was his fault or if that's not. I don't know, but at least we got a taste of it here, of something good. And this franchise at this point, it should be dead. This should be a dead franchise, but it wasn't, and it didn't need Snapchat girls. It didn't need Snapchat girls. Also, had more lesbians. It did need that. So there's that. And it seemed like at some point we would escape the tits, but no, they were still here. They were here up till the very end, from beginning to to end. So there's that. And the racist people from the bowling alley, they're now social media vloggers. Why? There was a crypto reference that made absolutely zero sense. Again, there's a Karen portrayal that has some really good dialogue from Rabbit. It's a really good Karen portrayal because it's done very well. I don't know why they'd have paid so much attention to this, but didn't pay attention to the other stuff. I don't know. But she says, "Hoes are us." I thought that was pretty funny. There was also, it was really weird to hear about COVID and Tiger King references in this movie. A movie's franchise that started way back in 2006, but now it's kept going through COVID. I don't know why the fuck they were doing that. And by the way, this is still called Evil Bong. This is Evil Bong 888 or 8 Infinite or whatever. So where the fuck's Evil Bong? Evil Bong hasn't been evil since movie 3 or 4. You know what Evil Bong is doing now? Running the kitchen. What sense does that make? She just teleports weed into the food so it tastes good and people come back. What the fuck? What was the point? What was the point of all this? And nothing even really happens in this movie other than it runs just like a big Kitchen Nightmares episode without Gordon Ramsay in it. Until the ending. And then the ending, they just decide, we've had enough, we're calling it quits. After just fuck all nothing happened other than tits and lesbians and Karens, now we just wrap everything up. Lornell comes back after being gone for a while. Yes, he was written off a while back because he was stuck in Rabbit's brain, but now he's gone. But now he's back and he does things. And then all the characters come back and they make a big declaration that it's over. This is going to be the last movie, but is it really the last one? I don't know. But then Ginger Dead Man and Ginger Weed Man just come back, and they're cool now, and Ginger Dead Man, once again, has no reason to even come back because he was killed and slashed and left in hell. What the fuck is he back? What sense does any of this make? But the best part came next. The end. The ending. Time recording this, there are no more Evil Bong movies. And again, that Rabbit guy, whoever plays him, seems like he was the one funding this whole thing, and he passed away in 2023. So it does not look like there's going to be another one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. We'll see. My thoughts about this series: regurgitated plot points, cheaped out on actors, cheaped out on effects, completely butchered the Ginger Dead Man as a character. Evil Bong is a completely unnecessary villain. She's not even a fucking villain. What are the other characters? I could never make any sense of them. Where is anything? There was there was some continuity, but also it felt like there was zero continuity at the same time. The stories made no sense. They dragged on. They had no relevance to anything except for a couple of loose plot points that they put together. There's barely any kills, and at the end of the day, they're boring as fuck. So that's my thoughts on the Evil Bong franchise. 100% the most agonizing, and I mean most agonizing, series of movies that I've definitely the most agonizing movie marathon that we've ever done. And that wasn't even all the movies. I got one more that I'm going to do a separate review of, because I just felt like it. One of the spin-off movies that we decided to include here, but I guess we should have included other ones. We should have structured this whole Ginger Weed Man thing, Ginger Dead Man thing. We should have structured it like the Marvel ones, where it's just continuity of everything. We try and figure it out, but too late for that now, I guess. So what are my scores? None of these movies are good. I think the highest any of these could score is a 4. And that's being generous. The best movie probably was the ones that... The only really good parts was when Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong were interacting with each other. And then a couple funny moments at the end in the last movie with Rabbit being a savage. That's what it was. I really don't know what else to tell you. These are very underwhelming movies. They don't do anything. I don't even know how they were funded. But here we are. So, overall for the scores, I'm just going to give them all straight 3 out of 10s. How about that? So, there you go. That's going to do it though for this mega review. I couldn't bring myself to do individual reviews of these. I feel like these movies are all super similar, hence why I grouped them together. But the other Evil Bong / Ginger Dead Man spin-offs, I know there's the whole Killjoy series. There's a group of individual movies like the Ooga Booga movie and a few others. Maybe we'll do those eventually. Well, they're on the list. We'll do them eventually, but not anytime soon. And if you want to put yourself through the torture of watching these movies, it is free on Tubi, if you so please. You just have to watch some ads. And the ad breaks might not seem like a good thing, but trust me, you will want the ad breaks to break up the monotony and be able to watch something other than tits for a little bit, okay? That's going to do it, though, for this review. If you've ever seen any of these movies, I'd love to know your thoughts about them in the comment section down below. And that's going to do it for this video as well, so stay tuned for much more amazing content, including more movie reviews and other awesome stuff. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.